The silence in the house was suffocating, a stark contrast to the lively hum that her presence had always brought. Lauren, my wife of 7 years, had spoken those dreaded words a month ago. I need space. Her voice was flat, devoid of the warmth I once knew. It was a Friday night, ordinary in every way until it wasn't. One moment, we were casually discussing dinner plans. The next, she was packing a bag. Her eyes refused to meet mine as she delivered the bombshell. I'd asked, of course, what was wrong, what I'd done. But she only shook her head, her gaze fixed somewhere distant. I need to think, she said, about us, about me. And just like that, she was gone. The first week blurred into confusion and pain. I replayed the reels of our life together, searching for the cracks I'd missed. Had I been so caught up in my world that I'd overlooked hers unraveling? My days at the carpentry shop were a monotonous escape, the rhythmic pounding of the hammer a poor distraction from the chaos within. Nights were worse, filled with the deafening echo of her absence. I cooked for one, ate in silence, and stared at the empty side of the bed. Then came the anger. Slow, insidious, but relentless. How dare she? To walk away without explanation, leaving me suspended in uncertainty. Did she think I was some placeholder, someone she could shelf while she figured herself out? I poured my fury into work, taking on endless projects, my hands raw and bleeding by day's end. I started hitting the gym, channeling the storm inside into the burn of weights and muscle. And then, a month later, she returned. It was a quiet Sunday evening. The door creaked open, and there she was, suitcase in hand, a nervous smile on her face, as though nothing had happened. I didn't rush to greet her. No hug, no kiss. I just stood there, letting the silence speak louder than words. I'm back, she said hesitantly. I missed you. I didn't reply. Instead, I gestured toward the living room, watching her as she stepped inside. It wasn't the same space she'd left. During her absence, I had rebuilt it. The old, worn carpets were gone, replaced by dark, polished hardwood floors. The beige walls had been painted a soothing blue. Modern furniture now stood where the tired, familiar pieces once sat. The room was unrecognizable, but it was the centerpiece that made her stop, her breath catching in her throat. In the middle of the room stood a display of framed photos, snapshots of our life together. But something was missing. Her. I had meticulously removed her from every photo, leaving behind gaping voids where her face should have been. A stark visual of what she had left behind. She stared at the empty spaces, realization dawning in her wide eyes. The nervous smile faded, replaced by shock and horror. She opened her mouth to speak, to explain, but the words wouldn't come. Where were you, Lauren? I asked, my voice low, deliberate. While you were off thinking, where did you spend the last month? She hesitated, her gaze darting as though searching for an escape. At my sister's, she finally said, the lie trembling on her lips. I smiled, cold and sharp. That's interesting, I replied, pulling out my phone. On the screen was a photo I'd found after a bit of digging. Lauren, on a beach, laughing with another man. A co-worker of hers, some slick finance guy with a designer watch and a fake grin. Her face went pale as she stared at the image. It's not what it looks like, she stammered, her voice breaking. Oh, I think it's exactly what it looks like, I said, my voice calm, almost gentle, as the weight of the truth settled between us. You wanted space? Well, you got it. You got yourself a new guy and new life, didn't you? Go ahead, enjoy it. She collapsed to the floor, tears pouring down her cheeks, the weight of her choices crushing her. I stood there, watching unmoved. I felt nothing anymore. The hurt, the love, the anger, everything had burned away, leaving only a hollow, icy void. I walked past her, out the door, leaving her sobbing alone in the room. I drove to the address I'd found for her new lover, a posh apartment building downtown. I waited, parked across the street. When I saw him leave, I pulled up, cutting him off, trapping him in the driveway. His surprise faded into arrogance as recognition crossed his face. You must be Lauren's husband, he sneered. She told me about you. That was all I needed. I exploded, grabbing him by the collar and yanking him out of his car. He was taller, but I was stronger. A punch landed hard, right to his face, and he crumpled like a rag doll. I kicked him, again and again, letting all my pent-up fury pour out. He didn't stand a chance. "Stay away from my wife, from my life, you piece of filth." I roared, my voice hoarse with rage. I left him gasping on the cold concrete, his expensive clothes now covered in dirt and blood. As I walked away, there was a strange release, a satisfaction. It wasn't graceful or mature, but I didn't care. The week that followed, I watched with dark satisfaction as everything unraveled. His career? Ruined. Lauren? Fired from her job for the affair and her poor performance during it. His face was plastered all over social media after the viral video of our confrontation. He tried to deny it, but the truth had a way of rising to the surface. He lost everything: his job, his friends, his reputation. He became a pariah, a cautionary tale. The life he'd built for himself had collapsed, just like I'd wanted. As for Lauren, I never saw her again. I filed for divorce, and she didn't even try to fight it. I had reclaimed control. I had won. For the first time in a long time, I felt peace. The sting of betrayal still lingered, but it no longer consumed me. I'd learned that even after the greatest losses, there was always a way to reclaim your own story. I had rebuilt my life, and now it was stronger than ever.